What's going on, my friends? Sean Pierce Johnson here, and the time has come to finally take an in-depth look at my newest acquisition, the Epiphone Björn Gelotte Jotun Les Paul Custom. This guitar has been popping up quite a lot in recent pedal demos and episodes of Stompbox Saturday, and with good reason. It's becoming one of the favorites in my collection, and not to mention is even giving my number one Les Paul a run for its money, which might seem a little mind-blowing, and I'll explain why in just a little bit. But I do want to say this comes courtesy of a new partnership between myself and Epiphone, and a big thank you to my friend and good longtime music industry buddy Aljon Go for setting this up. Without him and being a part of the community with him, this all would not be possible. So Aljon, thank you for your years of support, and thank you for the opportunity to demo and add this to the arsenal. So let's talk about specs. Everything that you know about a Les Paul Custom is here in the Jotun. Mahogany body with the carved maple top, set in mahogany neck with, of course, the classic, much maligned Epiphone headstock with a cool little modification to the LP custom diamond shape on the headstock. Very, very nice. And this is one of the only touches that let you know that this is a signature guitar, is Bjorn's signature engraved on the gold truss rod cover. Now, what's really cool is that over the years, Epiphones and even some Gibsons have started to lean towards using rich light in their fingerboards, but this is an actual ebony fingerboard, so it's a classic, it's real wood going on here. The neck and body are bound. The body is double bound, as a matter of fact, with the 5-ply white, black, white binding, and the neck is bound in a nice little ivory. Wow, the headstock's even got that 5-ply binding. That's nice. Gold Grover machine heads and Grover tuners are always welcome in my book. Of course, you have the classic block Les Paul Custom inlays on 22 frets with the 24.75 scale length. Like I said, this is all classic Les Paul Custom. However, where this does set itself apart from some of the other Les Pauls in my collection is that this is a big, beefy 1950s style neck profile. We have 2 volume controls, naturally, 2 tone controls, naturally. They don't push-pull, there's no extra features, it's just classic volume and tone. And what do they control? Well, they control these. Now, when I've shown this to a couple of my friends, the immediate question is, what kind of pickups are those? Are just regular Epiphone humbuckers? As a matter of fact, they are EMGs. Yes, EMG does in fact make metal-covered versions of their classic pickups. So we have an 81 in the bridge and a 60 in the neck, and these things have blown me away. I, for years, have been a staunch no EMG pickups for me kind of guy. But having this guitar, working it into the rotation, and getting the chance to actually hear what these pickups can do for my style of playing, my style of music, and with the gear that I use, is pretty remarkable to say the least. I have been converted, and I'm glad that it's in a guitar that I know I have formed a really close bond with. What's really cool is they put this little cavity right here in the control plate on the back of the guitar. All you have to do is slide this little tab forward, and the battery compartment opens, replace your battery, close it back up, and it snaps right into place, making battery changes very easy, and you don't have to get a screwdriver out. Now, I told you there was one other feature that made this guitar a signature guitar, and that is this little doohickey right here. Because, well, what do you want to do after you finish playing an awesome set? Have a celebratory beer! And that's exactly what you can do here. This is a bottle opener. And yes, it does work. Now, those are all the features and specs of the Jotun, but one thing that I feel that Epiphone does really well with their artist signature models is create an enticing package for you, the end user. Not only do you get a signed certificate of authenticity by Björn Gelotte himself, you also get an optional pickguard to place on the Jotun if you prefer the look of a Les Paul Custom with a pickguard. You get tools as well as some Epiphone strap locks, and all of it comes in a Björn Gelotte signature Les Paul hardshell case. So before I kind of wax poetic about how I feel about this guitar and where it sits in the hierarchy of the 4 Les Pauls that are currently in my collection, let's go ahead and take that cable plug ourselves in, and let me run through some of the sounds for you guys. Let's start out by going to clean tones. Now I'm using my Orange Rock Reverb 100 for both the clean and the dirty sounds today, and as we typically do with these guitar demos, I don't think it's anything we should go away from, but I want to show you what can happen with these EMGs because they are quite hot pickups. Now I have my volume on this set at 12 noon exactly. I have my treble somewhere around 3 o'clock on the dial and the bass somewhere between 1 and 2 o'clock. And you can hear there's a lot of extra grit from these pickups and their hot output. So if you want something really clean, you're gonna have to add some compression on top of these pickups. Now I'm gonna go ahead, turn on the JHS Whitey Tighty to give me a little bit of somewhat transparent compression. But the overall deal is I want these things to sound as clean as possible. So let's take a listen. And let's just have a little bit of fun. Let's add on some chorus from the Matthews Effects Chemist, as well as some delay from a Walrus Audio ARP 87. Now we've come to where the real magic of these pickups comes in, and that is on the dirty channel of the Rock Reverb. I have the gain turned up quite a bit on this one. It's about 3 o'clock on the dial, maybe even going a little bit past that. But the extra grind that we get from these EMGs is something really special. let's hear how this guitar sounds when it comes to playing a little bit of lead. I'm going to go ahead and turn on a Boss SD1 for that gritty classic boost that we all know and love, and use the ARP 87 for some analog style echo. One thing that the Jotun has also done for me is realize that I can work my tone knobs a lot more with these pickups. As a matter of fact, let's go to the bridge pickup. I'm going to turn it up all the way, and I'm actually going to dial back my tone a little bit. I'm going to go from having it all the way up on 10 and then dial it back around 7. And you can hear there's a very slight difference, but the fact that the difference is slight enough that I feel like I have room to play is a new option that I feel like I enjoy having. So with all this, how do I feel after having had the Jotun in my possession for quite some time? Like I said at the top, it's quickly becoming one of my favorites and is even giving number one a run for its money. And why is that? Personally, I feel like despite the fact that In Flames is a much heavier band than the music that I make, I feel like everything put together works exactly like a guitar that I would want to make for myself. Earlier this year at the NAMM show, I was chatting with Aljon and a couple other guys from Epiphone, musing, really, about what all would go into a signature model if I were to be able to do one with Epiphone. And in many ways, I feel like it would be an amalgamation of my number one Les Paul, the black and silver one that you normally see me playing, and a lot of the features that are in this. I feel like the EMGs in the Jotun make it a really great rhythm guitar instrument. The EQ curve of the bridge pickup definitely sits as a nice, heavy rhythm tone. But I feel like the Duncans in my number one Les Paul, the black and silver one, those work better for maybe a lead guitar kind of instrument. Meaning that, well, I can basically track 2 guitars worth of Les Pauls and get more chugga chugga and more chunka. I really enjoy the contrast of the neck shapes. Whereas my main Les Paul has a thinner D60s style neck, this has that more traditional chunky 50s style, which is not a bad thing in my estimation. Now, if I were to take this guitar, put it under a microscope, and really nitpick it, there are a couple things with the paint and the finish bleeding on to the binding that I would like to see fixed. But when you consider the price of this guitar, you get a whole lot of guitar for your money. Brand new in US dollars, this thing is $899. For $899, you get an insanely great quality guitar. I know we love to harp on the fact that Gibson's quality control has not been the greatest in the last few years, but I am telling you, I have not had a single problem with this guitar. Now, I don't know if Epiphone did something to set it up for me before I got it. All I know is that when I took it out of the case, I did a little bit of a tune-up and I was ready to go. Long story short, this certainly won't be the last time you see the Jotun Les Paul Custom by Epiphone on my channel. You will certainly be seeing it in upcoming episodes of Stompbox Saturday and other demos throughout the year, as well as maybe hearing it on a couple new tracks that my band Cockeyed Optimist is working on. Aljon, thank you so much again for sending this my way and your friendship and support over the years, and thank you all for your friendship and your support as well. If you'd like to get some news on some of those demos and new happenings, please do click the subscribe button and click that notification bell so you'll always find out when something new is coming on. And if you'd like some access to some exclusive stuff, you might want to go over to patreon.com/Sean Pierce Johnson and join me and become a patron today. As always, it's great to have you guys join me in the studio. The summer is just getting started here. I hope you all have a great day. And until next time, my friends, I'm Sean Pierce Johnson, wishing you all out there great tone and happy stomping. Cheers, everybody.